Hey y'all, I'm Kendall.
And I'm John.
And we're the Antonellis of Antonelli's Cheese Shop here in Austin, Texas.
Thank you for watching us and being a part of this journey with us.
Pre-cheese, I actually worked for American Gateways. And so this is a little bit about our story. My undergraduate thesis was on state-sponsored terrorism and understanding the effects of that on people and on culture. That's how I came to research asylum work in general. I worked for the Guatemala Human Rights Commission, first as an intern, a non-paid intern, then as a paid research associate. I worked for the Organization of American States as an intern in the Conflict Resolution Department. And then I volunteered with Amnesty International going into detention centers and taking people's stories down to see if they had an asylum claim. And somehow that led me to some work by Jennifer Harbury, and that led me to Austin and looking up asylum work, and then finding Political Asylum Project of Austin, which today we now know as American Gateways. And at first I ran the family-based immigration program at American Gateways. So that was a program that I started in, and of course that takes so many different ways, shapes, and forms. Through that program, what was so heartening is seeing people believe and wait and love and continue to go through the process and trust it, knowing that America could hopefully provide the same opportunities to them that we say we do, and that the Statute of Liberty stands for, and all the ideals that we always talk about. They are there. They are standing there, waiting in line, waiting to be processed and to be reunified with their loved ones. After I ran the family-based immigration program, then an opening became available in the Immigrant Victims of Crime Protection Project. It's a lot of words, but basically it was a program in charge of helping survivors of crimes apply for their U visas or T visas if they are specifically survivors of human trafficking. American Gateways is seen as one of the leading nonprofits in the nation, specifically for that work. One of my most rewarding experiences from working at American Gateways was a family reunification process. The part I got to be involved in was filing the paperwork so that these women who had been lured to the United States in search of work and ended up in work that they did not want to do, nor had they agreed to do, then being held against their will, and then being told that their loved ones, predominantly their children who were back in Latin America and Central America, would be harmed if they did anything about it. Edna and some other folks had achieved T visas for survivors of human trafficking in the Houston area. And this was a really big case. There were many, many, many women involved. All of that initial happening had occurred before I joined American Gateways. Fast forward years later, where I got to see those children step off the plane in Houston and run to their parents, their mothers, for the first time. Getting to view that process and that moment of reunification when a mother first gets to hug her child after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in some of these cases, that was one of the best things I've ever experienced and will carry with me, and made all those hard nights worth it.
I remember sitting in the car waiting for you, and the expression on your face of just pure happiness and joy was just life-changing.
Yeah.
It really was. We've had some transformational experiences as a couple, as a family with our 2 children. We led a trip to Matamoros when there were a lot of migrants at the border looking for safety and freedom, but they were being locked out. Large tent city right across the border, and we actually cooked and fed for 1,000 people that day. We had to, carry drag our carts across the border through the patrol sections, and then set up a table.
Many of the people that we were communicating with are asylum seekers, fleeing their home countries in Central America and presenting themselves legally at the border saying, we claim asylum. Due to current immigration policies, we're being turned away, denied access to the rights that we legally say that they have. And while we could go down the part that are really sad and really trying, what we saw was resilience and hope.
And so we brought that back with us, and a lot of the work needs to get done in our own communities, and that's why supporting programs like American Gateways is so important to us, because they're making that impact on a daily basis. Every minute, every hour that they put in effort they're making that grand impact.
After I left working with American Gateways and dove straight into entrepreneurship and building a small business, I thought I would continue to do some volunteer work, but didn't really have the time to do that because lo and behold, turns out starting a small business was starting our own nonprofit and working just as hard. But we chose to give back financially. And the reason why is I know firsthand that every dollar counts, every dollar matters. I've seen how American Gateways processes those funds. It's not overhead administrative costs where the majority of that money goes. It is in direct services. I had a friend who supports many nonprofits locally, and in fact, they've supported American Gateways. They like to support nonprofits that have big impact, well, specifically that are scalable. And I think what I would tell that person and what I would tell anybody else who thinks about that is that there's some work that has to be done on a case-by-case basis, person to person, hearing your story, understanding it, filing your paperwork, and sending it in. And it isn't always glorious or glamorous. It takes a lot of labor to do, but that's where each and every one of those dollars goes. I think the work of American Gateways transcends politics. It is not partisan, it's not left or right, Democrat, Republican. It is work that benefits our communities. It's humane work. It's work that restores the humanity and dignity in people. So I hope if you're reading this, watching this, joining along in this conversation, that you can join the Leadership Council if you're really interested, please. And donate. They have clinics where you can show up and volunteer, especially if you speak Spanish, but there are a lot of other languages and translation services that are needed. So you can support American Gateways through financial contributions, both small and big. We have done both. As we grow, we're scaling to do what we can. You can volunteer. You can just share their messages on social media and help spread the word about the work they're doing. The work of American Gateway should not be kept a secret. We should be celebrating it and celebrating the people and stories who make our community rich.